Hello everyone. Welcome to the International Space Elevator Consortium members meeting. Today we have a number of presentations for you. And we're going to start off with hearing from Pete Swan. He's going to give us a status of ISEC.
Welcome, everybody. We like the idea of members only because we get to have general discussions. So please feel free to jump in with a question or raise your hand on the thing or put information in the chat. This is supposed to be similar to a conference. I've been very disappointed that we haven't had a conference in 2 years, and the board is equally worried, and we're discussing it next week at the board meeting on when we can have our real in-place conference. But this will do because we have some very good speakers today, and it should be an interesting run through the status of where we are and what we're doing inside ISEC. Basically, we're healthy. We've got a budget, not very big, but we have one, and we have many people volunteering efforts. We have room for more volunteers. One of my last charts this morning will be, the opportunities to volunteer for ISEC, and I hope one or two of you jump into that. The purpose of our association, and we're really an association like IEEE, the American Medical Association, is to support the industry and develop a body of knowledge. And indeed, we've done that to a large extent. And if you go to our studies and go to the webinars that are on there, you'll see that there's been a lot of progress in space elevators in the last few years. I'm going to run through some real quick charts, and I do this on purpose. I have more information than you can absorb on each chart, but the charts will be there and the video will be there, so you can look at those later and go to the details. We basically have a strategy that's developing inside ISEC and inside the space elevator community. It's based around our last study report, which is Space Elevators Are the Green Road to Space. It's based on the fact that we've started engineering development in a small way, but we've started it. And also that we've developed a strategy called the dual space access architecture. In other words, we love rockets. We love Elon Musk. We love Jeff Bezos. We love NASA. The kicker is we need rockets, but the part that they don't understand is they need space elevators. And the strategy is to have parallel programs. We do the heavy lifting. They move people through the radiation belt rapidly. They do silly things like low Earth orbit and stuff like that. So we have plenty of roles for rockets, and they have plenty of roles for us. A quick image. I know you're all members of ISEC, so you understand, but I love the lower image. It shows that our approach and our architecture is actually dwarfs the Earth. We are a huge project. We have big challenges. I believe we can do it, and I think it should be exciting. Now, my vision is we move massive tonnage to geosynchronous and beyond, and rockets can't do that. Rockets get less than 2% of the mass at the pad to geosynchronous and 0.5% to the surface of the moon and Mars. So we need that. In addition, we raise everything with electricity, so we're the green road to space. And I believe that's even becoming more and more important as we go forward with the Paris Accords and things like that. Basic strengths, we have a permanent infrastructure, and that can't be underemphasized. It turns out that an ability to have a bridge to space opens up space like nobody can comprehend. We don't understand the full impact of doing something like that. We believe it will be massive, and it should be exciting. So we're grabbing hold and charging ahead. Okay, this is a structure of ISEC, essentially. We have a standard everyday arrangement. We have a steady lead dentist. I can't mention everybody because we have a whole bunch of people doing all these things. But we have an organization, and here's our leaders. I hope I didn't leave anybody out. But we've got a board of directors, standard everyday stuff. And then we have people that are leading different activities. And we've got some really great contributors. Social media, Peter Robinson, we've got lots of good activities that are ongoing. But if you have a question, go ahead and send a memo to any of them, or contact them and pursue the particular question, or start with me and I'll send you to the right person. As I said, we're building the body of knowledge for space elevators. We're putting it down. One of the most significant reports we've done, which has kind of been under emphasized, is the space elevator architecture and roadmaps way back in 2014. What we did there is lay out a test plan, what we would test along the way so that we would have a successful space elevator. And that kind of laid the architecture for the remaining studies that we have there. We've got one study ongoing, the tether interface between the climber and the material. And Dennis Wright and a whole bunch of other people are working on that. And then we have another one we'd like to start in for the 2022 time period. But there have been massive studies out there that have approached the idea of how do we do space elevators. Exciting year for ISEC. We had a start the year when we started discussing the term modern day space elevator. It's kind of intriguing. A gentleman named David Raitt is our chief historian. And he came to the conclusion there had been 8 architectures over the last 25 years, starting with, of course, Brad Edwards. And then we've developed 7 more architectures, how we lay out the space elevators, how we develop them, things like that. And so we've come up with the answer that we've come up with an 8th modern day space elevator, and it's basically the green road to space. We've had one published report. We're going to have another one in the near future. And we've got newsletters. Thank you, Sandy. You're doing a great job there. We've coordinated with the international organizations and the National Space Society. I think we're making progress in that arena, or outreach arena. But then in 22, we have some good plans, and we'll have some activities that should be instrumental in moving us forward. Let me get this. There we go. There are 10 videos that are on the website, our website, that actually show where we are with the definition of the modern day space elevator. And there were some really good statements in there that kind of changed the direction of space elevators. The one that I thought was really interesting, and Kevin Berry and Eduardo are going to talk today on a similar topic, but we transitioned the discussion from individual investments in a space elevator to an investment in an infrastructure. The view of investment is big differences when you're actually going to invest in a long-term payback on an infrastructure versus short-term return on investments. That was a big change in the approach we have toward funding space elevators, and instrumental in the future. Lexicon, we agreed with the Japanese Space Elevator Association with terminology. So we started using common terminologies around the world. Europe's jumped into these terms. Every once in a while, somebody will slip and use their own term, but we've essentially had a common denominator around the world. So the vision of the future is really what we're calling the galactic harbor, and it's kind of a conglomeration of things, but essentially, if somebody's going to invest $15 billion in the first space elevator, they're going to put a second one up immediately. You'd want the second one up for a backup in case the first one kind of has a flaw or something. You invest that amount of money, you want to have revenue flow. It's also a second avenue to space, so you could double your revenue. So we believe that a corporation will build 2 space elevators, not parallel because they radiate out from the center of the Earth, but together in what we call a galactic harbor. And then inside that galactic harbor will be a tremendous growth in enterprise. You can imagine what will happen at geosynchronous in the sense of repair of satellites, replacement of satellites, construction, if we can raise everything up there easily and cheaply and massively and move a lot of mass up to geosynchronous. Oop, went the wrong way there. So the real challenge for us is to get together and take this vision further. And so what we need to do is have some more volunteers. Now we have a new study coming up, and wait for the announcement. We can't announce it until the board meeting on Tuesday, but we should have a new study. And then, by the way, there is a process if somebody wants to start a study off cycle and do something specifically toward one target. So we could have two studies in parallel. But it's intriguing. We believe very similar to what Mr. Musk does and Mr. Bezos does, which is there should be civilization off planet. Now, Mr. Musk has a target. He wants to go to Mars. But Mr. Bezos just has a target of a civilization operating off planet robustly. So we are with them and we support them. And our belief is that we can provide the green road to space, which moves massive amounts of tonnage out there. So please join us in the studies or join some committees. We've got a history committee that's very active. If you have a tendency toward understanding and enjoying committee history, that's really a good one. John Natman runs the research committee, and we're going to focus on materials a little bit here and there. And of course, the Green Road to Space study group has rolled out into one where we're going to start discussing the environment with people around the world and compare the space elevator to rockets and the impact on the environment. So we've got a Green Road to Space committee that's just starting. So go ahead and volunteer, and then we can help you participate. It would be a lot of fun to have some more.